I knew Marcus was going to regret firing me the second he said, "We don't really need a full-time translator anymore. Google Translate is pretty good now." Google Translate, pretty good now. This man, this white man with an MBA from a school that probably taught him Mandarin means tangerines, thought he could replace me with a free app. Me, Lena Wu, native Mandarin speaker, Cornell linguistics degree, 7 years navigating the labyrinth of Chinese business culture, legal terminology, and the kind of subtle communication that gets lost the moment you run it through an algorithm designed by people who think ni hao and ni hao are interchangeable. I didn't argue, didn't cry, didn't even flinch when he handed me that severance envelope like he was doing me a favor. I just smiled, said thank you, and walked out knowing exactly what was about to happen. Because here's what Marcus didn't know. Our biggest partner, Shanghai Dynamic Technologies, had been drafting a very specific, very important contract amendment for 3 months, and they were about to send it, in Mandarin, with legal terminology so precise that one misplaced character could mean the difference between exclusive distribution rights and "we're suing you into bankruptcy." But sure, Marcus, Google Translate is pretty good now. Before we watch this train wreck unfold, and trust me, it's spectacular, real quick, 94% of you aren't subscribed. If this story makes you laugh, cringe, or feel vindicated about every time someone assumed they could automate your job with an app, hit that button. It's free, it helps the algorithm, and it'll make Marcus's inevitable Google alert so much sweeter. Now, let me tell you how I watched a $47 million company lose an $18 million partnership because they thought Rosetta Stone and arrogance were the same thing as fluency. Vertex Global Solutions. Sounds impressive, right? Like they solved problems across continents with efficiency and grace. In reality, they imported mid-tier industrial equipment from China and sold it to American manufacturers with a 40% markup. Pumps, compressors, filtration systems, the kind of machinery that keeps factories running but nobody thinks about. Not glamorous, but profitable. I'd been there since 2018, employee number 31, hired specifically because they were expanding into the Chinese market and needed someone who could actually communicate, not just butcher tones and hope for the best. My official title, International Relations Coordinator. My actual job, everything, translating contracts, interpreting video calls, explaining why you can't just email a Chinese partner at 9 p.m. their time and expect a response by morning, teaching white executives how to pronounce names without making it sound like they were ordering takeout. I negotiated deals, smoothed over cultural misunderstandings, translated technical specifications so precise that one wrong character could mean installing the wrong voltage transformer and burning down a factory. I was good at my job, not just competent, essential. But essential doesn't matter when your CEO decides you're a line item he can cut. Marcus Brennan became CEO in January 2024. Brought in by the board to optimize operational efficiency. Translation, cut costs, boost margins, make the numbers look good for an eventual acquisition. He was 38, Wharton MBA, 3 years at McKinsey. That very specific brand of confidence that comes from never being told you're wrong because you fire people before they get the chance. First all-hands meeting, he stood there in a quarter-zip fleece. The fleece, the universal uniform of men who think Patagonia is a personality, and said, "We're going to do more with less, work smarter, not harder, leverage technology to eliminate redundancies." Eliminate redundancies. I felt that phrase like a cold hand on my neck. After the meeting, Marcus scheduled one-on-ones with every department head. Mine was on a Friday at 4:30 p.m., the universal time slot for bad news. He opened with a smile. "Lena, great to finally connect. I've been reviewing our international operations structure." "Okay," I said carefully. "Help me understand your role. You do translation work, right?" Translation, interpretation, cultural consultation, partner relationship management, contract negotiation. Right, but the core function is translation. It's more nuanced than that. Mandarin Chinese business culture. I'm sure it is. He smiled like I'd just explained something adorable. But here's my question. Couldn't most of that be handled with existing tools? Translation software has gotten really sophisticated. There it was. Software doesn't understand context, I said slowly. Mandarin is tonal. Same word, different tone, completely different meaning. Legal and technical terminology requires... I hear you, but from a cost-benefit perspective, we're paying a full-time salary for work that's maybe 60% of a role. What if we transitioned you to a part-time contractor basis? You'd handle the complex stuff and we'd use software for routine communications. Part-time contractor. Translation, we're firing you but want to pretend we're not. Marcus, our Chinese partners expect... I'm sure we can manage expectations. He leaned back, fingers laced behind his head. Look, I'm trying to be transparent here. The board wants leaner operations. Your role as currently structured doesn't align with our efficiency goals. Efficiency goals, like I was a redundant API endpoint, not the person who'd spent 3 years building relationships with every major partner in Shanghai. So what are you saying? I asked, even though I already knew. We're eliminating the full-time international coordinator position. We'll handle translations internally going forward. Your last day will be March 15th. We're offering 2 months severance. 2 months for 7 years. I see, I said quietly. I know this is hard, but honestly, you're talented. You'll land somewhere great. He said it like he believed it, like he was doing me a favor, setting me free. I didn't argue, didn't beg, didn't explain again why software couldn't replace institutional knowledge and cultural fluency. I just said, "Thank you for letting me know," and started planning. Here's what Marcus didn't understand about Chinese business relationships. They're not transactional, they're personal. You don't just sign a contract and start shipping products. You build guanxi, connections, trust, mutual obligation. You have dinners. You exchange gifts at appropriate moments. You remember birthdays and Chinese New Year and the names of people's children. And you never make them feel disrespected. Our main partner, Shanghai Dynamic Technologies, was run by a man named Chen, mid-50s, former state-owned enterprise executive, knew everyone worth knowing in industrial manufacturing. I'd spent 3 years building a relationship with him. Not just me, our CEO before Marcus, a woman named Patricia who understood that relationships take time. We'd visited Shanghai twice a year, brought appropriate gifts, attended banquets, learned the subtle dance of hierarchy and face-saving and reading between the lines. Chen liked us, trusted us, and that trust translated into a partnership worth $18 million annually. But here's the thing about trust. It's earned slowly and lost instantly, and Marcus was about to light it on fire with Google Translate and Audacity. My final week at Vertex was surreal. Nobody knew what to say. Coworkers avoided eye contact in the hallway. A few sent sympathetic messages like, "This is so unfair," and "They're making a huge mistake." But nobody spoke up. Nobody pushed back. Because Marcus had made it clear, fall in line or follow me out. I spent those 5 days doing something very specific: documentation. Every partner contact, every cultural preference, every communication protocol I'd established, which partners preferred WeChat versus email, who needed phone calls for important decisions, what topics to avoid, how to structure negotiations. I wrote it all down in painstaking detail and sent it to Marcus with the subject line, International Relations Transition Documentation. He replied 20 minutes later, "Thanks, very thorough." Thumbs up emoji, for 7 years of institutional knowledge. The second thing I did, I sent carefully worded messages to our key Chinese partners. Not unprofessional, not burning bridges, just honest. To Chen Wei, I wrote in Mandarin, 尊敬的陈总，我想通知您，我将于本月底离开 Vertex 公司，这是公司重组的一部分。我非常珍惜我们多年的合作关系。如果未来有任何我可以帮助的地方，请随时联系我。祝生意龙腾，吴琳娜敬上。Translation: Respected General Manager Chen, I want to inform you that I'll be leaving Vertex at the end of this month. This is part of company restructuring. I deeply value our years of cooperation. If there's anything I can help with in the future, please feel free to contact me. Wishing you prosperous business. Respectfully, Lena Wu. Polite, professional, but with a subtext any native speaker would catch. Something's changed. Be careful. Chen Wei replied within an hour. Miss Lena, very sorry to hear this news. You've always been our most trusted liaison. May I ask who the new contact person is? I forwarded his message to Marcus with a translation. He's asking for the new point of contact. Marcus replied, tell him he can reach out to me directly. Here's my email. Just like that. No understanding that Chen Wei asking for a specific person meant he wanted to know who he could trust, not just who to email. But I did what I was told, sent Chen Wei Marcus's contact info, wished everyone well, and on March 15th, I cleaned out my desk and left. I'd been gone exactly 6 days when my personal phone rang, unknown number, Shanghai area code. Wei? I answered in Mandarin. Miss Lena. It was Chen Wei's assistant, a young woman named Xiao Mei. I apologize for calling you directly. I know you're no longer with Vertex. It's no problem. How can I help? We sent a contract amendment to Mr. Brennan 3 days ago, important modifications to our distribution agreement. We haven't received a response. My stomach dropped. Did you send it in English or Mandarin? Mandarin, of course, with technical specifications. We assumed Vertex would have someone review it. I see, I said slowly. Have you tried following up? Yes, Mr. Brennan replied this morning. His response was... She paused. Confusing. We're not sure what he's agreeing to. Can you forward me his email, unofficially? I was hoping you'd offer. The email arrived 2 minutes later. Chen Wei's original message was formal, precise Mandarin, approximately 800 characters outlining modifications to payment terms, delivery schedules, and warranty coverage, the kind of legal, technical language that requires deep understanding of both business terminology and cultural context. Marcus's response, clearly run through Google Translate and sent without human review, was a masterpiece of disaster. Chen total good, we receive your file. We agree change and will continue our business cooperation. Confirm all your new requests are acceptable. Looking forward, continue work. Marcus. I stared at my screen in horror. A competent translation would have been, Distinguished Mr. Chen, thank you for your letter. We have received the revised documents and are carefully reviewing them. We'll get back to you with a formal reply this week. What Marcus actually sent, translated back to English, was roughly, Chen total good, we receive your file. We agree change and will continue our business cooperation. Confirm all your new requests are acceptable. Looking forward, continue work. Marcus. To a Chinese business partner, this wasn't just bad translation. It was deeply insulting. It said, your language isn't important enough for us to hire a human to respond properly. And legally, he'd just agreed to contract terms that would cost Vertex approximately $340,000 in reduced margins. I called Xiao Mei back. I think there's been a misunderstanding, I said carefully. Mr. Brennan may not have fully understood the contract modifications. I'm no longer in a position to officially advise, but I'd recommend sending a follow-up asking for clarification on specific points before proceeding. Thank you, Miss Lena. Her voice was relieved. Mr. Chen was concerned. This response seemed very unlike Vertex. The company is going through transitions, I said diplomatically. What I meant, they fired the only person who could actually communicate with you, and now they're using software designed by engineers who think Mandarin is just Chinese language. The second disaster happened 2 weeks later. Xiaovi sent a formal complaint in Mandarin about a shipment of filtration systems that had arrived with incorrect voltage specifications. The equipment was built for 220V, China standard, but the contract had specified 380V for industrial use. This was a legitimate problem requiring immediate response, replacement equipment, and probably some form of compensation for the delay. Xiao Li's message was formal but firm, outlined the issue, requested Vertex's proposed solution, mentioned delicately that this could affect future orders if not resolved properly. Marcus, again, ran it through Google Translate and replied with what he thought was an apology and solution. What he actually sent was this. 陈先生，我们很抱歉为你们的问题，我们的工厂已经做了正确的规格通过你们的订单，也许你们的电工安装错了设备，我们可以送新的用户手册帮助正确使用。I found out about this one when Xiaomi himself called me. Miss Lena, he said, voice tight with controlled anger. Is Vertex suggesting we don't know how to install equipment? What? No, of course not. Mr. Brennan's message says our electricians installed wrong and we need instruction manuals. Oh, God. Mr. Chen, can you forward me the exact message? He did. I read it and wanted to scream. What Marcus had tried to say, we apologize for the error, our factory shipped the wrong specifications, we'll send replacement equipment immediately at no cost. What he actually said was, Mr. Chen, we're sorry for your problem. Our factory already made correct specifications through your order. Perhaps your electricians installed wrong equipment. We can send new user manual to help correct usage. He'd blamed Xiaomi's team for the mistake, suggested they didn't know how to install basic equipment, offered an instruction manual instead of replacement units. In Chinese business culture, this was catastrophic. He'd caused Xiaomi to lose face, suggested incompetence while shirking responsibility. Mr. Chen, I said carefully, I believe there's been a severe translation error. Marcus likely meant to take full responsibility and offer replacement equipment. The message got garbled. Then why doesn't he hire someone who can communicate properly? Chen Wei's voice was sharp. Your company used to respect our partnership. Now they send machine translations like we're not worth human attention? I understand your frustration. Does Vertex want to continue this partnership or not? Because if they cannot communicate with basic respect, perhaps we should consider our options. There it was, the threat. Let me make a call, I said. Unofficial capacity, just trying to help. I appreciate that, Miss Lena, but you shouldn't have to fix problems you didn't create. After we hung up, I sat there for 10 minutes debating. Then I called Vertex's main line, asked for Marcus. This is Marcus. Marcus, it's Lena. I know I don't work there anymore, but... Lena, how are you? Landing on your feet okay? His cheerful obliviousness was stunning. Marcus, I just got a call from Chen Wei. There's a serious problem with your recent communications. Oh, the voltage thing? Yeah, I responded to that. Offered to send instruction manuals. You blamed his team for the installation. No, I just suggested they might have... Marcus, the translation was wrong. You accidentally insulted him and refused to take responsibility. He's threatening to end the partnership. Silence. That can't be right. I used Google Translate. It seemed fine. Google Translate doesn't understand business Mandarin. It doesn't know formal register. It translated your message as blaming him. Okay, well, I'll send a follow-up clarifying. Don't. Stop. Please don't send another message through software. Lena, I appreciate the concern, but we're handling it. You're not, though. You're destroying a relationship that took 7 years to build. I think you're being a bit dramatic. These things happen in business. I'll smooth it over. He hung up. I sat there staring at my phone, a slow smile spreading across my face. Not because I was happy, because I just realized I'd tried to help. I'd warned him, and he'd dismissed me again. Whatever happened next, that was all Marcus. 3 weeks later, the bomb dropped. I was freelancing by then, picking up contract translation work, consulting for a few smaller companies, making decent money and sleeping better than I had in months. Then my phone rang. Vertex's office manager, a woman named Diana who'd always been kind to me. "Lena," she said, voice shaking, "I need your help. Unofficial. I'll pay you personally if I have to." "What's wrong?" "We got a legal notice from Shanghai. I think it's about contract termination or a lawsuit or, I don't know. Nobody here can read it. Marcus tried Google Translate, but it's not making sense, and he's freaking out." "Where's the notice now?" I'm looking at it. It's 8 pages, all Mandarin. There's an official seal, and it references multiple contract clauses, and... Lena, I think we're being sued. "Email it to me." The document arrived 2 minutes later. It was, indeed, a legal notice. Formal, precise, absolutely devastating. Chen Wei's legal team had drafted a breach of contract claim citing failure to deliver equipment to agreed specifications, the voltage issue, refusal to accept responsibility or provide adequate remedy, disrespectful communication suggesting incompetence of SDT's technical team, unilateral acceptance of contract modifications without proper review, the first email disaster. They were terminating the partnership effective immediately and demanding compensation for lost revenue, replacement equipment costs, and reputational damage. Total claimed $2.7 million USD. But here's the really beautiful part. The document referenced specific communications, including Marcus's emails, with translations showing exactly how badly he'd screwed up. They'd built an airtight case proving that Vertex had acted in bad faith through incompetent, disrespectful communication. I read it 3 times, each time appreciating the precision more. Then I called Diana back. "It's a lawsuit," I said simply. "Breach of contract. They're terminating the partnership and claiming $2.7 million in damages." Oh my God. It gets worse. Their case is built on Marcus's emails. The translations were so bad, they're arguing he operated in bad faith. Can we fix this? Not easily. They'd need immediate, formal response from someone who actually speaks Mandarin, preferably someone Chen Wei trusts, ideally someone who understands both the legal terminology and the cultural context necessary to negotiate down the damages. Silence. "Someone like you," Diana said quietly. "Someone like me," I agreed. "But I don't work there anymore, remember?" "Lena, please. I know what happened was wrong, but there are 40 people here who'll lose their jobs if this goes bad." She was right, and I didn't want innocent people hurt. "Tell Marcus to call me," I said. "If he wants my help, he can ask for it himself." He waited 4 hours before calling, probably spent that time trying to figure out if he could solve this without admitting he'd been wrong. "Lena," his voice was strained, "I understand we have a situation. You have a situation. I have a consulting opportunity." "Right. Look, I know we didn't part on the best terms. You fired me for being a redundancy and replaced me with Google Translate. That's not exactly..." Then 3 months later, you're being sued for $2.7 million because you can't communicate with your most important partner. Silence. I need your help, he said finally. I know you do. What would it take? And there it was, the moment I'd been waiting for. First, an apology, real one, for dismissing my expertise and my warnings. Yes, you're right. I should have listened. I'm sorry. Second, full contractor rate, $500 per hour, minimum 40 billable hours for this project. He caught himself. Okay. Third, after this is resolved, you reinstate a full-time international relations position and hire someone qualified, not contract, full-time, with benefits. I'll need to discuss with the board. Those are my terms, Marcus. Take them or handle this yourself with your very good Google Translate. Long pause. Agreed. I started that afternoon. First, I called Chen directly, in Mandarin, with proper formal register. 尊敬的陈总，我是林娜娜。我知道 Vertex 最近的沟通给您造成了极大的困扰和不便。我想代表公司向您表达最诚挚的歉意。Respected General Manager Chen, this is Lena Wu. I know Vertex's recent communications have caused you significant trouble and inconvenience. I want to express, on behalf of the company, our most sincere apology. 林娜小姐, his voice was cool but not hostile. 您重新回到了公司? Miss Lena, have you returned to the company? 我以独立顾问的身份协助处理此事。陈总，我完全理解您的失望和愤怒。公司在过渡期间犯了严重的错误。I'm assisting as an independent consultant in handling this matter. General Manager Chen, I completely understand your disappointment and anger. The company made serious errors during a transition period. We talked for 45 minutes. I didn't make excuses, didn't blame translation software, just acknowledged the mistakes, took responsibility, and asked what would be required to repair the relationship. Chen Wei's response was measured. Miss Lena, my lawyers have advised me to proceed with the lawsuit, but out of respect for our years of working together, I'm willing to hear Vertex's proposal. That was an opening. Would you be willing to speak with our CEO directly, with me interpreting? I asked. If he's willing to apologize properly and offer real solutions, yes. I set up a video call for the next morning, gave Marcus very specific instructions on protocol, tone, and what to say. Let me do most of the talking, I said. When I translate for you, I might add context or adjust phrasing slightly. Trust me. Should I apologize for the translation issues? He asked. Yes, but frame it as respecting the importance of proper communication, not as, oops, technology failed. The call started at 9 a.m. EST, 9 p.m. Shanghai time. Chen Wei appeared on screen in his office, his legal counsel beside him. I greeted them formally in Mandarin, handled the opening courtesies, then facilitated the conversation. Marcus, to his credit, actually listened to my instructions. Mr. Chen, I want to apologize personally for the disrespectful communications you received. There's no excuse for the way our messages failed to show proper regard for our partnership. I translated, adding appropriate formal language and the cultural context needed. Chen Wei nodded slightly. Marcus continued. Regarding the equipment issue, we take full responsibility. We'll ship replacement units immediately, expedited at no cost, and we'll compensate for the project delays. Again, I translated with appropriate formality and added, 此外，为了表达我们改正错误的诚意，公司愿意承担所有因此次失误造成的额外成本。Additionally, to express our sincere desire to correct this error, the company is willing to bear all additional costs caused by this mistake. We negotiated for 2 hours. I translated, clarified, smoothed rough edges, explained cultural context to Marcus in the chat, reframed his proposals in ways that would land well with Chen Wei. Finally, Chen Wei leaned back. 马库斯先生，我欣赏您今天的诚意，但我需要看到实际的改变，而不是仅仅是承诺。Mr. Marcus, I appreciate your sincerity today, but I need to see actual change, not just promises. I translated, then added quietly to Marcus off camera. He's opening the door. This is where you commit to structural changes. Marcus nodded. Mr. Chen, I understand. We're reinstating our International Relations Department immediately. We'll have a dedicated, qualified person managing our Chinese partnerships. No more machine translations for important communications. I translated, watching Chen Wei's expression. He exchanged a glance with his counsel, then spoke. 如果吴小姐愿意回到公司担任此职位，我认为我们可以继续讨论如何修复这段关系。If Miss Wu is willing to return to the company in this position, I believe we can continue discussing how to repair this relationship. Everyone looked at me. After the call ended, Marcus turned to me on the video chat. He wants you back. I heard. Would you consider it? I let him sit in the silence for a moment. Not as International Relations Coordinator, I said finally, as Director of International Relations, VP level, reporting directly to you, full authority over all Chinese partnerships and communications, double my previous salary, and a seat in leadership meetings. That's... He stopped, recalculated. The board will need approval for the VP level. Then get approval, because without someone managing this relationship properly, you're going to lose $18 million in annual revenue, probably more, because word spreads in Chinese business circles. You'll be known as the company that disrespects its partners. You're right, he said quietly. I'll present it to the board today. One more thing, I added. Public acknowledgement. I want a company-wide email explaining that the international relations position was eliminated in error, that it's critical to operations, and that I'm returning in an elevated role. You want me to admit I was wrong. I want you to admit you were wrong, to everyone, so this never happens to anyone else. He nodded slowly. Deal. The board approved everything. Probably because the alternative was explaining to investors why they'd lost their biggest partner over Google Translate. I went back to Vertex 3 weeks later as Director of International Relations, VP level, with a salary that made my previous pay look like an insulting joke. The company-wide email went out the day before I started. Team, I want to address an important change. Earlier this year, we eliminated our International Relations Coordinator position as part of operational restructuring. This was an error in judgment. Our international partnerships, particularly with Chinese manufacturers, require specialized expertise that cannot be replaced by technology. I'm pleased to announce that Lena Wu is returning to Vertex as our new Director of International Relations, reporting directly to me. Her role will have expanded authority over all international operations. This reflects our commitment to maintaining the strong relationships that make our business possible. Marcus Brennan, CEO. It wasn't a full apology, but it was public acknowledgement. In corporate speak, that's basically blood. Chen Wei and I negotiated a settlement. Vertex paid $400,000 in compensation for the equipment issues and delays. Painful, but not catastrophic. The partnership continued. And here's the beautiful part. Chen Wei insisted on one clause in the revised agreement. All official communications between Shanghai Dynamic Technologies and Vertex Global Solutions must be reviewed by Director of International Relations Lena Wu or her designated bilingual staff. Machine translation is prohibited for contractual or legal documents. They'd literally written "Don't use Google Translate" into the contract. Marcus signed it without argument. I'm still at Vertex. VP-level office, real authority, a team of 3 junior international relations specialists I'm training properly. Marcus and I have a functional relationship now, professional. He listens when I explain cultural context, doesn't question my judgment on partnership matters. He learned a $2.7 million lesson about respecting expertise. We've expanded into 2 new Chinese partners. Both came through referrals from Chen, who apparently told them, Vertex had some internal issues, but they've corrected them. Lena runs their international operations now. You can trust her. In Chinese business culture, that's gold. People ask if I feel vindicated. Honestly, yes and no. Yes, because I was right, because expertise matters, because you can't automate relationships and cultural understanding and 7 years of institutional knowledge with a free app. But also no, because I wish it hadn't taken a near disaster for them to realize that. Here's what Marcus didn't understand when he fired me. I wasn't just translating words, I was translating meaning, context, relationship. Language isn't just vocabulary and grammar, it's culture, history, power dynamics, respect, and 1,000 subtle signals that algorithms miss. When Chen sent that first contract amendment, he wasn't just sending legal terms. He was testing whether Vertex still valued the relationship, whether we understood that in Chinese business culture, contracts are living documents, negotiated through ongoing dialogue, not static agreements. Marcus's Google Translate response didn't just mistranslate words, it signaled, we don't respect you enough to pay a human to communicate properly. And in business, that's fatal. You want to know the real cost of Marcus's efficiency? $20,000 in severance when he fired me, $2,500 in savings per month by eliminating my position, $400,000 settlement to Chen, $150,000 in my new salary, triple what they were paying me before, $50,000 plus in lost efficiency during the 3 months of chaos. Total actual cost, $620,000 plus. If he'd kept me at my original $65,000 salary, none of that happens. But more than money, Vertex's reputation in Shanghai took a hit. Chinese business networks are tight. People talk. For 6 months, we were known as the company that fired their translator and almost collapsed. Rebuilding that reputation took dozens of dinners, carefully worded explanations, and Chen quietly vouching for us again. You can't put a price on that kind of damage. The lesson isn't don't use translation software. Software is useful for casual communications, quick translations, getting the gist of something. The lesson is don't confuse a tool with expertise. Google Translate can help you order dumplings. It cannot help you negotiate an $18 million partnership, or interpret the subtle meanings in a legal notice, or understand that when Chen says, perhaps we should reconsider our options, he's not asking a question, he's issuing a warning. Marcus thought he was being efficient. Actually, he was being arrogant. He assumed complexity could be automated, that relationships didn't matter as much as margins, that my 7 years of experience could be replaced by an algorithm trained on Reddit posts and public domain books. He was wrong. And it cost him. If you're watching this because someone at your company is suggesting they can optimize away expertise, whether it's translation, design, engineering, or any specialized knowledge, show them this video. Then send them the bill for what happens when you confuse efficiency with competence. I don't work in translation anymore because I love languages. I mean, I do love languages, but that's not why I'm good at this. I'm good at this because I understand that communication is about people, and people are complicated, tonal, cultural, subtle. You can't algorithm that away. Marcus learned that lesson for $620,000. Your company can learn it for free. Just subscribe, hit that like button, and maybe show this to your CEO before they make the same mistake. Thanks for watching. If this story resonated, if you've ever been told your expertise was redundant right before everything went to hell, drop a comment. I read every single one. And remember, Google Translate is pretty good now, until it really, really isn't. See you next time.